Welcome, everyone, to FMA Talk Martial Chronicles. I'm your host, Dr. Tim.
PG Ties here, too.
All right, today's topic is Buffalo Modern Arnis, how it developed and started. But before we start, I want to thank our sponsors, Vulpes Training Blades, the Modern Arnis University, and the Modern Arnis 65th Anniversary Camp next May. But let's get right into it with just what's going on as of late before we go into today's topic. And thank you, Jeremy, for first one here.
There you go.
All right. So how was your weekend? Did you do anything, or were you working out of town, or?
Working a lot. I actually had a good class yesterday. I was thinking what day it was. Yeah, just trying to catch up. I've just been out traveling, working, and then Arnis and training and stuff the weekend before. So, yeah, it's kind of a blur. I don't know about you. How did yours go?
I taught a seminar this weekend over at one of our new affiliates, MSD Kenpo Karate. Mr. Guida, who usually logs in and says something.
Great.
And hello, Mr. Scott / Todd Spencer. So that went well. It was a small group. It was supposed to be for his assistant instructors or his up and coming assistants and the Arnis program specific. But then there's Mr. Sam saying hello.
Hey,
good thing. It's going to be the shameless plug moment. Mm-hmm. What just came in? Oh, hey, Terrell, how you doing? Hey, Terrell. I'm sorry. You got me doing that again. Terrell, okay, and he goes, good evening, gents. And Datu, I love those sticks. Well, I'll be shipping them out later this week, by the way. He wanted the mega sticks, and he's giving me a thumbs up or something there. I don't know. Hopefully he's not flipping me off. It didn't come up. But also what just recently came in, we'll wait for it, our Punisher morale patch. You see, that's much better than looking at my face, right? Isn't that here? This is Datu Tim now from now on. Hey, how you doing? Hey, But this is one of those Velcro patches. It goes on. I actually put it on one of my jackets because it has a Velcro section. We put it in our stick bags, our sling bags, stuff of that. And there he goes. Hey, look at that.
Hey.
We'll watch later. I wanted to say hi. Go Bills. So, this is a lot warmer than I thought it was going to be. I'm going to take this off. I happen to have one of my bowl shirts on. But, hey, and Frank is saying hello as I take my jacket off. Of course, my hands are busy, and only one person runs the control panel, and that's the person talking right now. Hey,
hey, Frank, how you doing?
Hey, there you go. But so if anyone's interested in these are $8. I'll have to figure out shipping on these. These are not a sew-on patch; it's a Velcro morale patch. So people who have like those morale patch cases and stuff along those lines. And that's a slick patch, and of course, Rob. This is an adult show, not a
nice,
not one of those shows. And then of course, Greg is like, yeah, sweet man.
Yeah, they shut down, I guess, the OnlyFans stuff, right? So we can't do that.
Yeah, there we go. This is a family show, yes. So yeah, so well, okay, now it's not a family show, but it's a show.
The Modern Arnis family. There you go.
Modern Arnis family. Okay. So, what I just want to talk about real quick is recently I've been asked to speak on behalf of a few things, and I'd watch your fans only. No. Recently, Grandmaster Attilio did a post about Flintwalk and martial arts and history and talk, because he's selling a book, and he said some not so favorable things about 4 people who were passed away, and 3 are very close to me. Ted Buitt, my Flintwalk instructor, Sam Buitt, his cousin, who's very good, and of course my favorite person, he said things about Remy. And I was talking to Bobby Tabuada, and he actually asked me to weigh in. So there is a post on this channel. By all means, check it out. I have to do a thumbnail. I still haven't done that. It's been kind of crazy the last couple of weeks. End of season prep, seminars, running around, festivals that I'm doing appearances at and stuff like that. It's just been confirmed that I'm doing a Southeast Modern Arnis camp at the end of January in Jacksonville, Florida.
Nice.
At Ernie McKinney's. And I know Greg is serious, and there's Mr. Thompson. He was in class.
Hey, Larry.
So, but I made some comments about it. I tried to stay as positive, or not positive, but as polite as I could be. But obviously, so I'm not down with speaking ill of the dead. And even if something happened to, I'm not a big fan of Attilo, but if he passed away yesterday or tomorrow, I wouldn't be saying anything public because he's leaving behind loved ones, and I wouldn't want to tarnish any memory. Now, if we got in a conversation about something and people asked me what I thought about X, Y, and Z, I'm more than happy to weigh in on a topic, but I still try to be as professional as possible. So if you get a chance, you might want to look at that. The problem here is information about he has always been a person, Attilo. He's always been a person that the entire Blentzwalk community agrees on the family tree and the stories, except for him. And, I could see in some cases, like as of late, it seems Modern Arnis, I'm that guy that no one agrees with what I'm saying. But fortunately, there's people like you who've been around that have actually witnessed what we're talking about. But this is not Attila's case. These people were around. Actually, I don't even know where he came from. He just came out of the blue. But it's I think it's all about strategy of selling a book, and that's that. But that's my little mini rant for the day. I know it's anticlimactic for some of you. That's all Hartman's got to say.
There you go. Well, you did just eat too, right? So
yeah.
And get them to class.
I'm in a food coma right now.
Right, you just came from class.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got some things we're going to be talking about over the next couple of weeks, but some things I like keeping away from the show because I don't want them, whatever my opinion is, it's my opinion. It's not my organization's opinion. It's not my co-host's opinion. It's not even a loved one's opinion. It's my opinion, and no one else should be judged by my opinion. So, but anyways, so today it's all you, buddy.
Yep, there you go. So we want to dive right in, or just to remind everybody, today's episode is all about Modern Arnis and Buffalo, and all of the information we can do that. So I've got some questions that I'm gonna throw at you, and feel free, folks, to chime in with questions, and we'll see what we can do.
And as a reminder, this is not a Tim Hartman episode.
No.
I'm the one in Buffalo still doing Modern Arnis. So, and it's historian.
Yeah, just about the history and the growth and the spread, because I think there was a lot of stuff happening there. So let's get right into it then, and I'll try to see the questions as they pop up. But I've got a couple. First off, so as far as you know, when did Modern Arnis come to Buffalo area, and how?
Well, it was 1985. So Don Zangi had the Fighting Back Institute, and it was a modified Kenpo program. He went to the first camp that Remy did, which happened to be the West Virginia camp.
Okay.
So that was 1985. And then fell in love with the program, hopped on board. And he had a Kenpo Arnis fusion school. Now, I don't know how long it took for him to get, the Kenpo or the Arnis portion going. He was definitely started on the Kenpo side of things. But he had started there, and then he was the guy that is responsible. He is the father of Modern Arnis in Buffalo, New York.
So did he, if he got involved in that first camp in West Virginia, did he get a basic instructor back then? Or I know the camps were long back then too.
I I am not sure what he came back with. I do know he ended up before he relocated out of Buffalo, but he ended up having a Lacan Tatlo third degree. And as a reminder, it's black, then first, second, and third. And black, Lacan or Dayang, is not a probationary belt. It is a full belt by itself.
Mm-hmm. All right, so he brought that back at some point after 85, after the first camp. So when we say, he brought it back to Buffalo, what area was he around? So where was his school? Where was he teaching at? So where would that center be?
So hey, how you doing, Bobby?
Hey, doing Bobby.
So he had two locations. One was in Depew, New York, and the other was in the city of Buffalo proper on Main near Hurdle. So if anyone's ever flown into Buffalo, both locations would have been 15 minutes of the airport. Actually, one location is right around the corner of the airport, and then the other downtown Buffalo. I'm not sure which one was first.
So he kind of, had double barrels going.
Yeah. And I don't know what the extent of it was, as far as I know the Depew location was a standalone school. I don't know anything about the Main Street location.
Okay.
I think that was, from what I understand, Don was done with his school by the time I got involved.
Okay. Did you meet him then, or is he already?
I met him before he left Buffalo. Actually, I had a meeting with him too. He came to. We did 3 camps in Buffalo. 89, 90, 91. And he came to the last one. I actually got an award made for him, a plaque, honoring him, because he was moving to Florida, which he resides there now.
Right.
And I made an award up for him, appreciative, trying to acknowledge his contribution as the person that started it all for us here in Buffalo.
Cool. So he had that double barrels going. So presumably, did more people come back from seminars and camps, or did he actually get the ball rolling here? And if so, how did that, spread out from the schools, and kind of who was involved, and when did you start somewhere after that?
So he got the ball rolling. So when he brought Remy up the one time, I'm not sure how many times he brought Remy up, but I do know he brought Remy up.
Okay.
And Remy, Bill Adams was the big karate guy in town. He had the first professional school, had a tournament the same day of the seminar. So they changed the day of the seminar, and what Remy did, or maybe they didn't change the same day, but Remy and Don brought Remy to the tournament, and evidently they ended up doing a demo there.
Nice.
And then people got hooked.
Yep.
And they all showed up to the seminar the day later.
Perfect.
It was actually in Black Belt magazine too. Little snippet in the Black Belt News, Black Belt Times section. I got it somewhere in my records, and so that was the ball rolling. Now, some people did go to the camps, but it started here. Okay. Yeah.
So did he get them hooked, and then maybe after that, some people went to the camps? Because
Yeah. I mean, okay. Don went by himself, but I think for the most part, Mr. Zhang did most of the training, and then people. Actually, I only know of 2 people who went to the camps prior to us. Jerome Barber and I co-hosted 3 camps together in. I said it was 89, 90, 91.
Okay.
So, and hey there, Rich.
Hey, Mr. Rich, how you doing?
Of course, Greg said hello too.
Yes, I saw that earlier.
But
and to him, Bobby, by the way, said, "Good evening, my friends or brothers."
Brothers.
Yeah. Okay. Just in case anybody was paying attention.
Yeah.
I want to be sure that he knows that I'm still practicing.
There we go. Yes.
We had a good time at the East Coast gathering recently.
Nice.
We got to finally spend some time visiting. But anyway, so back on track here. So Don Zangi got it started, double barrel, kind of 2 schools going, exposed people through that delayed seminar to to a demo with Remy, and then boom, a bunch of people show up, and then it hits the ground pretty hard.
And from what I understand, they, like Don produced 4 black belts.
Okay.
So one was Jerome Barber. Well, Jerome didn't get his black belt in modern while Remy was around, or while Don was around. Don had shut his school down by the time Jerome had gotten that.
Okay.
Yeah. No, actually, we're gonna get there.
We're getting there, Terrell.
So, Don Zangi had 2 students that some people might know, and that's Jerome Barber and David Battaglia.
Okay.
Those 2 were students of Fighting Back Institute. John Bryant was a student of Fighting Back Institute. Then Dan Carr, he was a Jean Park Taekwondo school or club, and he was going there training after hours.
Okay.
And then Gary Costanza, which got his training from Don, but Rocky did a little contribution there as well.
Oh, okay.
Because Rocky had done some seminars in Buffalo.
Right. I remember.
Even I brought him in.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Hey, sir. Okay, so that's good. So that gives us 4 or 5 people then to start spreading in addition to Don, I guess.
So looking at the list, those who had programs properly, I said, those are 4 people who ended up with black belts.
Okay.
Now, John Bryant produced David Smith, Tammy Wilson, and myself. And actually, here's what I'll do. So we have this. Here's the family tree, or here's the rank chart.
Okay.
Let me get rid of the graphics here. Boom.
There we go.
I'm just looking at a couple different options here. Nope, that's not good.
Yeah, the biggest one there. That's good.
Okay. So Don produced. I mean, and some people crossed over from one person to another.
Sure.
I have a couple students that were students of Jerome, were students of Don Zangi, but didn't finish their training because they had moved, the school closed down, and they weren't significant. One guy was a blue belt, and I took over after that. Another guy went away to college as a brown belt, came back, and I finished the training. Don was pretty good. Don, how do I say this? Okay, Don was a good instructor because he got people to do things beyond his skill set. Okay. Don did not look good doing the art. I'm not saying he was bad. What I'm saying is he looked awkward, but that doesn't mean you're bad. That just means you're awkward. I've had awkward people knock me across the room.
Right.
So this is, but his students actually could perform better than he was, which is a great sign of an instructor.
There you go.
So John Bryant was a student of Don's. He left as a brown belt, finished his training with Remy, but still so much of it was with Don. I give Don the credit for that. So the 3 of us came. It was myself, David Smith, and Tammy Wilson. And I talked to Tammy periodically on Facebook.
Okay. Good deal.
Dave's granddaughter's training with me.
Nice.
So that's cool. Now, Tammy Wilson produced Peter Couch, and I was actually chatting with him earlier today. So, and I need to check an email. I was chatting with him, and I need to make sure I got this right. Of course, my phone's going to make these noises because I didn't do what I was supposed to do.
Put it on silent. Let's see if we got here.
That's what I was supposed to do.
So you said that John Bryant got brown under Don and finished his training later, but I was going to say, so you started initially under John Bryant as well, but you also moved up to Remy.
Yes. So
at what point?
Okay. So
quickly, so it's not more details, but
so yeah, I don't know. Okay, I couldn't find that. Yeah,
the interesting thing to me is all these people getting started and moving around until they finally settle where they're going. So that's
so let me go through the list of the key people, or the people who. So I consider myself okay. So there's first generation and then there's first era.
Mm-hmm.
So people get confused with that at times, I think.
Era is time and generation is who was your teacher.
Yeah. So like Remy didn't start with Anjan Bakan, but he sure as hell finished with Anjan Bakan.
Yeah, passed up twice.
Yeah. So I might have to get up to do the lighting in here real quick, but not yet. So Don Zangi produced Jerome, John Bryant, Dan Carr, and Gary Costanza.
Okay.
John Bryant produced me, Tammy, and Dave.
Mm-hmm.
Tammy produced a black belt, Peter Couch, who I was chatting with earlier today. Sure. And he's going to be coming to the camp, which is going to be awesome.
Excellent.
Dan Carr produced Bob Chesbro, and that's the only black belt that I know of that he's produced. Jerome Barber produced Richard Kern, Tim Cascino, and Tom Virgo. And then you can look at the list on the right, and that's all the people I produced, or
and one of them just sent you a message online.
Did they?
Yep, Paul OG.
Oh, okay. Of course, my screen's all over the place. You still have the first two in a second.
I didn't read it, so now I read it. Okay.
Well, I need to. We gotta.
Does that mean that you demoted him? That can't be.
If he keeps giving me shit, yeah.
There you go.
So, so obviously, I mean, I don't know of Buffalo was the highest actually, I'm going to say it's the highest concentration of modern Arnis in all the states, or was coming up, because of the size of Buffalo and the quantities of groups that were going on. Now, these aren't even all the groups.
Right. Well, actually,
who weren't certified black belts that we're teaching.
Yeah, let's set the stage on that one. So when you started with John Bryant, how many schools were there already? Or how many groups were there teaching modern Arnis at that time?
So Bill Adams was a karate school. One of his guys even got their brown belt in modern. Now, Bill had two schools. So they actually had a program, or a class. They had a regular Arnis class, I should say, in their club. But he had two locations. Now, eventually that got absorbed into the main curriculum. But at one time, there was two locations teaching Arnis as a separate entity. Gary Costanza had his own school, so there's a third one.
Nice. And
this is all before I became a black belt. This may have all been going on at the same time that I started. Don Zangi had his location. Dan Carr had something going on by himself. That's 5 right there. So I think 5 when I started.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh, then John Bryant. There's 6. Right. There's 6. 6 right there. Now, from there, you add that Mary Bogold had she was actually teaching. She was training in the club and had her own Kenpo school. So she was an assistant instructor at our place, but had her own Kenpo school. Okay. So she was learning it she was apprenticing to go over there. Okay. Then eventually I started my own club, and then Jeff Reck, one of my black belts, had his own club. David Battaglia had his own thing. There's 10 right there. Peter Kautz was teaching Kung Fu out of a Kung Fu school as well. So there's 11 right there.
So that's a period. So from when you started, it was 5. And then just how many years did it take to get to 11 in that small area, relatively small area?
So 2005, I think by 2007 or 8, 2000. Oh, I'm sorry. That was 85. So about 89, that was all going down. Okay, no. Well, actually, to get those other clubs going, let me back up. That would have been 92, 93, because Jeff Reck was a student of mine. He wasn't a black belt. He got his black belt in 91. So then about a year or two after that, he started. So 92, from 85 to 92.
Okay. Well, so that's pretty fast. And I also know that, Remy would ask sometimes you to start teaching earlier. I know that he had me start a club right away. So I did. So I'm sure that happened too. But that includes that list.
So yeah, this does not have the non-black belts teaching.
Okay.
Because if you look right here, this is just the black belt tree.
Sure. Or they got one eventually.
Yeah. So I'm gonna back out here. So the list, there is 11 schools right there.
Nice.
Or programs or clubs or fill in the blank. And then actually there's two other programs split off of that. So it's probably 13 by the time we're done, because one of Bill Adams' students opened up his own club.
Okay. These are all commercial. These are all commercial locations, or was it any university groups?
Yeah. Most of these were commercial.
Okay.
And then none of them were backyard.
Okay.
And then Ernie McPeak, but Ernie was a little north. He was out of the county, so he wasn't in our county. But I mean, so Buffalo itself, it's a small area. It's not that big.
That's like 3 handfuls of schools in that small area.
North. Okay, so north to south, that's 15, 20 minutes.
Yep. No, it's not. It's not giant. If you've been there, if anybody's been to Niagara Falls, knows what it's like. Hey, Craig.
I could get to Niagara Falls 30 minutes from my house, and I would have been one of the most southern locations at the time.
I was out in your area. I didn't know it at the time. I was working out in North Tonawanda for 1 weekend or 1 week. I had a job out there.
Oh shoot! That's 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
I was just doing kung fu back then.
Okay. That was before Remy.
Yeah, it was before I met Remy. And unfortunately, I would have been cool to start earlier.
Yeah,
but hey,
that would have been great.
started when I started, so that's good. So all these groups, did all of them ever have, or did any of them besides Don Zangi's group bring Remy in? And if so, did the groups support each other's events? How did they get along? I don't want to get into politics, but I just want to sort of get a feel about if they're working together or do they go their own way, that kind of stuff.
It's an on again, off again, love-hate relationship.
Okay.
I was pushing for a unified curriculum for a bare minimum. Actually, Peter Kautz and I were talking about it today. He messaged me, he goes, I remember when you were trying to get that going and all this other stuff. I was the driving force. Okay.
Hey, Jeremy.
Yeah. Yes, you do. But I've always had the most central location and sometimes the biggest location with our own, So Jerome Barber taught out of ECC.
Right.
There's only so much you can do. Sooner or later, they kick you out. And, as far as, hey, it's beyond, it's too late, you got to go. It was also one of the southernmost locations, and, people wanted to be a little more central. So I was teaching out of my church, and a lot of times the guys would come to me as a location that I had my own keys, that I could stay as late as I wanted.
Right.
And we would have meetings, we would do trainings, and then I eventually got into Powerhouse Gym. Once again, I had my own keys, and I had the room all to myself. It was an aerobic room that was all martial arts, and I could come and go as my please, and guys would come in. I'd go. I was the one that was traveling to see Remy all the time, so I'd go to a seminar, and this is where I screwed up. I went away to the seminar, I came back, and then day by day, everybody took turns visiting to see what I had picked up.
Right.
And what I should have done was say, all right, guys, I'll continue traveling, but you all got to kick in like $30 a head, and I'll show you what he showed me. Because I was at a couple $100 a weekend to see him, and none of these guys were doing that, and they were getting all the material free for me.
But you taught them wrong on purpose, right?
You
could have done that. I don't think you would have, though.
No. But I mean, we all try to get along.
No, I think I remember there was a lot of co-sponsoring things and events, or sharing schools or sharing locations that I heard.
Hmm.
So along those lines, during that growth period, any this is sort of an open purpose question, but is there any sort of nifty stories or one-offs, or maybe even Remy stories that happened during that time that kind of put a spotlight on what was happening in the area?
I don't think there's anything like that at the time. See, here's the thing. Remy came in and stayed for 2 weeks at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So he would do a seminar at all the other clubs.
Mm.
This is before he really busted out.
Okay.
So I, being the person that I was, and I didn't own a club, I was an assistant instructor at John Bryant's, the Filipino Karate Academy. When I knew Remy was going to go teach a seminar at another club, I would go to said club.
Right.
So I didn't pay because I was there to assist. So he might do 3-4 seminars in Buffalo, and I only had to pay for one, the one from the host school. I was everybody's friend. I would visit all the clubs because I was a colored belt. It was no big deal. It changed when I became a black belt. Go figure. But I'm going to hold on one second here.
Sure.
This is annoying me. The lighting's throwing me off. All right. But that's okay. That's a little better in the background. What? Hey, he must be talking about me.
No, he says how are sort of well, yeah, Kamusta, right? How are you? But the Munga is plural and Pogi is sort of a
the two of us. Okay, I still think I think he's just including you as a
both you dudes. Yeah, how are you dudes doing?
Sachi, how are you doing?
We'll say dudes.
Yeah.
Hey Sachi. Let's see, where was I? So we grew the area.
Club to club.
Sorry?
Remy would go club to club, and I would go club hopping with him.
Right. Well, I mean, that's the way to do it, right? I mean, you got to,
and Remy would stay at the Red Roof Inn.
That same
well, because I didn't know this because I was new. I was freshly minted. I was a virgin modern Arnis player. I didn't know all the ugly underbelly stuff of martial art politics.
If you have more than two people, you're going to have politics.
Yeah, well, I know that now. I wish I knew that back then. I'd play the game a little differently, And I was very open, showed my cards, and it is what it is. But I will say, because of the ties of all of us together, when any of us would go to a seminar out of town or training camp,
mm-hmm.
we would stick out in a positive way, in a martial technique way. I mean, you got to think about this. Detroit and Buffalo are very similar to each other. They're both hotspots, but Detroit is so spread out. Buffalo's on top of each other, and, I mean, Rich Parsons is an example. He's up in Flint. He's an hour away from Detroit, but sometimes people include him in Detroit because, if you live in Michigan, it's pretty much Michigan's all Detroit because the automotive industry.
This is where I poke at Rich and say, I've heard that he gets around. So,
but I'm pumped.
There you go. Just to see if people are paying attention.
Yeah.
So we had you said that it peaked, so we got up to about almost 15 clubs, schools, programs in Arnis. That was about what year again? Or when was the peak?
The peak probably would have been 92, 93.
92, 93. Okay. So shortly after I started down in Texas, which is his own country, by the way.
Yes, it is. So, and about, the thing here is like, okay, so I started in 85. I left John Bryant in 87. Okay. And then Remy had heard that I left and he reached out to me directly to become a personal student. I was like, well, how can I say no to that,
And that's when you had your own program then?
Yeah, that's when I had my own program. And I started traveling to see him, and I'd bring people with me. And that's when we started having a good relationship,
Perfect.
Outside of Buffalo, because, that's how I met Eric. Eric saw me a couple times, and
brought you in. Yeah.
I guess the story was he thought it was a level of false bravado when I would say things, because I was brought up in a military law enforcement family. So we just stated things, and Buffalo's kind of a full contact town. It's not a normal, we're blue collar, and I think of I didn't mean it this way, but I think of the comment that Wally J says about Remy. He goes, it's not bragging if you can do it. And evidently I just, we were just talking about stuff. No, you would just do this, you do that. And I was kind of it was perceived to be very cavalier about things.
Matter of fact.
Yeah. And I was like, hey, I'm just saying the way it is. And later Eric was like, well, first of all, I thought Tim was being cocky. And then I realized Tim was being accurate. Because
Eric has a good way of looking at things. He keeps a level head. So even if he has an initial reaction.
Yeah. I mean, I think anyone who knew me back, I was young. Listen, I became a direct student of the Grandmaster at 22 with no one above me. Now, listen to what I said. There was no one in between Remy and I in the teaching lineage. I'm not saying people didn't outrank me, because that's not what I said. I had a direct path to the Grandmaster as of 1987. Who can say that?
Well, I like that part of the story where where John Bryant was left John Bryant, didn't have a teacher, and Remy said, "Hey, I want you to keep going, so you're with me directly." That's a great story.
Yeah, so as a 22-year-old kid, how many people? Then here's the funny thing: John Bryant, he was a year younger than me, but he looked like he was in his 40s.
Yeah, that happens sometimes, right?
Yeah, so dang,
So if it peaked around 92, 93,
yeah.
So what happened with the other? Did people retire? Did they move away? How did the decline kind of start? Again, if we're in politics, facts.
I'm going to look at the list. Okay, so from the original list, let me bring this back up. I'm going to go down the black belt list here. So that way I can show everybody what's going on. So let me get rid of the brand. Done. And we'll get rid of the banner below. And we will. Okay, so if we look at, Don Zangi, we'll start with the top. Don Zangi moved out of Buffalo.
When was that?
91 was the last year he was here. He moved down to Florida.
I was going to say late 80s, so I was close. Okay.
Jerome Barber moved out of Buffalo. John Bryant quit, moved out of Buffalo, eventually died of liver cancer. Dan Carr died of a complication of diabetes and issues with insulin. Gary Costanza died of a heart attack. His wife kept the club going for a while, and then they closed, and the students took it over, but it wasn't the same, and it didn't work out. Tammy Wilson got out of martial arts. Peter Kautz, he's still teaching, but he's teaching. He does a lot of things. I think he's a Keating guy. He's a Hockheim guy. He is a very diverse instructor. Modern Arnis is not what I would say the core of what he does. He's an 8-step praying mantis guy.
Oh, nice.
No, wait, no.
Probably.
Yeah, maybe 8-star, maybe
7-star, 8-step, 6 harmonies. There's all
8-step, I think.
Okay. Okay.
Let me see. Dan Carr, Jerome Barber. Yeah, and then Bill Adams absorbed it into his curriculum. Bo Kenpo closed down. Battaglia closed his club down. It sold it and then went to kickboxing, and then I don't know if it closed before COVID or not, or COVID put the nail in it. Jeff got out of it a long time ago.
So some of these closings or movings are recent, and some of them were a slow decline from that peak.
I would say the last 5 years or more. I'd say 2010 on, I've been by myself. For because some programs, they just started moving away so far. It's if your program only has the angles of attack, block, check, counter, and Sinwali, are you really doing the art? I would say no. You're doing elements of it. So a lot of times people just absorbed it into the program, or the program's closed down. So as far as a dedicated school, I'm it right now. Now I do have a Rob Guida who pops in. He's got a separate Arnis class once a week. He's got people who actually sign up just for the Arnis.
Nice.
So,
good deal.
So that's a good thing.
No, that is a good thing. Good. I'm glad. So, and you said that is he? Well, I guess he's online here, but I'm just curious. Is he ramping it up again? I got the impression that something along those lines, or if you guys just getting more back in touch better.
Those are RPCs.
Yep.
That whole list. Okay, so for those who don't know, I'm OCD on things, and I have a name for everything. Okay, so let's bring this up. I'm going to say this again. People called me up and we got into it. Or they Facebooked me and they got into it. So I'm going to say this. Everyone on this list tested for Remy. If you were a modern Arnis black belt, you had to test for Remy. End of story. No one had the authority to promote modern Arnis black belts other than that. I know people have said, well, we were told in a private setting, I don't really give a damn what was done in a private setting, because they may not have asked the right questions, like, what am I promoting in, or what context or whatever. But this list right here, all of these black belts are RPCs. Remy Price is certified. To become a black belt modernist while Remy was alive, you had to test in front of him. So
the produced was the teacher, and then these ones on this list then tested in front of Remy.
Yes.
Yep. That's how I sort of kept track of it too, because I was told the same thing, that both Guru Eric and Remy told me that nobody's Remy said he promotes to black and that's it, and Eric said that much earlier to me. So that was my experience as well. What he told someone else, I wasn't there to listen, but this is what he told me. So
yeah. So on the list right here, I produced 21 black belts.
Nice. I had 3.
There we go. Let's see.
That's almost the same. 2 plus 1 is 3.
There we go. This list is plain black belts, Lacans and Dians, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 first degrees. Well, according to Paul, it might be 4 first degrees in 3 seconds, and 2 third-degree black belts.
Maybe that's the confusion. Did Paul get a second after?
I need to see the Paul. We've done this before. I could have sworn. Okay, I could have sworn. I love my guy Paul. Okay, I love all my students. Okay,
of course, the family.
But with everything going on in my life, sometimes I may have remembered something incorrectly. And I thought that Paul and I talked about this once, and it turns out that I was right. And he goes, "Oh no, I looked at this, and you're right, Tim." And maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. Maybe the conversation I had in my head was with a different student and not Paul's.
Well, what jumps out to me is that you produced 3? I forgot the list now already, but there's 3 third degrees that tested for third degree under
2 thirds.
2 thirds. Okay, 2 thirds that tested. Yeah. For their third under in front of Remy.
Yeah, which by the way, remember, it's black then first, so that's a 4th level black belt.
Right. Nice.
And like some of those, like Jeff Reck, his third degree was back in 98 or earlier. So this wasn't a last minute black belt.
Right.
So, and I will say that some of the masters of Tappy Tappy were third degree when they got promoted to whatever they were. Just FYI.
But that's not in Buffalo, so
doesn't count.
That's right. For this conversation.
Yeah.
Let's see.
And these are people who put my names on there. So, like an example, David Battaglia. I taught for John Bryant. Mm-hmm. Not David Battaglia. David Pajek was there.
Okay.
David Pajek was one of Remy's attorneys. So he was in the classes that I was teaching. Then I left John, and then when it came time for him to test for his black belt, he actually came over to my club because he wanted me to fine tune him to take him to that next level. Because actually at that time, so like 91, we talked about this recently, on a video that I'll be releasing shortly about the Can-Am chapter of the IMF. Around 91, I started getting Canadians coming down across the border because they saw the quality of my students, and they wanted to level up their skills and get ready for the next degree black belt. And you got to remember, I mean, you know this. I would say, okay, and I want you to correct me here. I would think that there was no greater than 5% of modern Arnis schools in the States or programs were being done as a standalone program. I'd say 95% of the modern schools out there, or schools that offered it, were probably only offering it 1 day a week. What do you think about that statement? It is the art within their art,
right?
And not as a primary, not as a standalone program.
I mean, from what I saw in Texas, that would fit in the same numbers. Well, the thing I noticed the most was when people would go to a seminar or camp, and this bugs me all the time, and then never practice until the next seminar or camp with Remy, and that just used to irritate me to no end. So it's the same procedure.
If they're doing it as an enrichment program, who cares?
Right, you get exposed to what you get exposed, and then you reflect on that with your primary art, and you learn.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay, so I was talking to one of my guys, George, and he and I started. I was the one that had the initial contact with Dr. G, the Bondo. I'm a certified master level instructor in their staff system. But hey, hello, Miguel.
Hey, Miguel.
But I'm not a certified black belt in Bondo. George, my student, is, because he did the actual due diligence. And Dr. G also told me, don't get certified, just make it your own. And where Dr. G really helped me, it was the organization and the formulation of what he was doing. I was looking at how he defined things. I mean, this is where we talk about the 3x3 matrix, hit add, hit in, hit through, these types of things. He made, I hung around Kenpo guys for multiple reasons. I wasn't a Kenpo stylist, but I liked the fact that they had a terminology. And who was a consultant to Ed Parker? Dr. G.
Well, Kenpo was big in Buffalo as well, right?
Tracy's influenced Kenpo, yes.
Okay.
Well, actually, at the time, it was watered down Tracy's. There's only one Tracy school in the area, that was Ernie McPeak. And then a lot of the other guys came from this thing called American Self-Defense, which was watered down Tracy's Kenpo. That's a whole nother story. That's actually where Don came from. Eventually, Don got certified in Tracy's Kenpo directly. And so did Jerome Barber.
But as far as, schools teaching it as not doing standalone program, I probably have a slight skewed on that, because both me and Raymond had I had two separate Arnis programs, one at the school and one out of his location. And also he had his own Arnis program in addition to his program. So we're skewed. But everybody we worked with wasn't like that. And it always used to throw us for a loop. So I can tell you that it was a large percentage did not approach it that way.
Well, I mean, look at our guests that we've had so far. We have a modern fusion, and we have 1 day a week.
Right.
When we look at like, okay, so in Buffalo, Don Zangi had a Kenpo Arnis fusion. John Bryant was a student of Don, left him, started his own club. Evidently, Remy was a silent partner, and that's how I got connected with him. He got rid of all the Kenpo and did Arnis by itself, but he came from Aikido.
Okay.
So Tammy was a student of his. Dan Carr was a Jean Park Taekwondo black belt. So he just focused on the stick. Open hand wise, he was doing his Taekwondo. That's just the facts. Jerome Barber liked to blend as much Kenpo in the program because he came up in that Kenpo Arnis fusion of Don Zangi's. I did Arnis by itself. And, you know, and when I'm talking about it by itself, I mean, okay, punching, kicking, locking, throwing, you know, and it doesn't mean open hand interpretation. You take the forms and deconstruct them. There's a lot of open hand strikes in there. Sinwali boxing, there's trapping hands with jab, cross hooks, uppercuts, all there. So I would train the elements separately. I didn't just do the drill to get better at punching, because here's the thing. Drills build skills. They don't build technique. Timing, coordination. If you want to get good at punching, you just punch. If you want to get, you know, everyone asks me, how do you get so good at this? The sticks. I swing the sticks almost every day. Actually, I swing the sticks every day.
You do, yeah.
You know, you've been around me in my house, and I just got to pick up something and swing that damn stick. Like, I'm playing with my belly saw closed right now.
Oh, my son's starting to play with the belly song too, so that's nice. So I had another question. So with the groups there, you know, Remy would come in the area and do a seminar every school and stuff like that. Did when was the first camp in Buffalo, and how did that happen?
So that's when Remy really started becoming the guy. So Jerome Barber and I put together a camp. Jerome has the administrative connections because he was a college professor at ECC, Erie Community College.
Right.
I had a lot of contacts in the martial art industry. So Remy put the two of us together to work on things together. You know, and he's like, you two work together. Okay. So I was teaching out of Bill Adams' club because I was going to leave as a brown belt because I had left already. And I said, I was talking to Bill Adams. He goes, well, what are you going to do? I went by Bill and say, hey, listen, I'm not with John anymore. And I used to film a lot. I had a VCR or VHS video recorder, and I used to record a lot of the seminars for Bill. So I got to see so many people free. It was great. All I had to do was tape and then make a copy. Done, you know. So
cameramen are invisible.
Oh my God, it was great, you know. And I actually, Bill was like, hey, can you, before I knew who he was, I got this guy I need you to drive to Rochester for me. Are you free tonight? Sure. Well, who is he? Oh, he's Wally J. Oh, okay. Do I know him? No, you don't know who he is. Okay. And then I've got a picture of me, my student, my second black belt, and Remy, and it's on my dashboard.
Nice.
And halfway into the drive to Rochester, Wally just happens to look at, oh my God, you know Remy? I go, he's my teacher. And then I'm videoing the seminar. And all of a sudden I see him I'm going here with this. I'm looking through the viewfinder. And for those who've videoed through a viewfinder before, you don't know what you're looking at. You're just trying to keep everything. And I'm like, did I just see backwards throw? Did I just see center lock? And I'm like, what the hell? And then he's like, oh, he did say he was Remy's best friend. And
so you didn't know that at the time. You didn't know they were best buds at the time.
I had no clue who this guy was. Small little Asian dude that would mess my shit up if I laid a hand on him.
Right.
But so when I tell Bill that I'm not going to be doing this, he gives me the keys to one of his schools and says, get your damn black belt, finish your training, then do all this other shit you're gonna. Because I was like, then maybe I'll do some kung fu, some karate. Nope. You get your damn black belt. It was the best thing he ever did, you know. So, but how do we get down that path?
I was trying to the first camps in Buffalo, and then how long this continued. Where I was going to go.
Then Remy reached out to me shortly after that. That's when we put together. And then he was in town for a seminar, and he goes, "Hey, listen, I want you two to work together." So 89, the year after I got my black belt, we put the seminar together or camp together. That's when Jerome got his black belt, and so did Dr. Leader the same weekend. They both got their Lacans.
Nice.
So we did 3 camps in Buffalo. We did the first winter camp. The winter camp was in 89. Then we did a little early spring, late winter in 90. And then we did a spring or a summer camp in 91.
And were those end up being pretty big? Because you had a big community in there, I would imagine they're pretty big. Or not so much.
Not so much. Like 30, 50.
Okay.
The last one, Tom Bolden came down from Buffalo. Bong Harnells was part of the staff. Doug Pierre showed up.
Okay.
Bobby and Kathy Sullen, the brother-sister, which were students of Tom at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Ed Piltzitz, who was a world champion stick fighter. I mean, so was Doug Pierre.
Did Eric make any of those? I never asked him.
No, never. Eric never. No, because he moved, I think, shortly after.
Already. Okay. I'm trying to get my timelines. Yeah, he moved in.
It was either before. No, what? That was probably before I went out to do the seminar with him.
Okay.
But he was going. I mean, it was easier for him to go to Richard Royce camp.
Sure.
I mean, I know there was some talk about people weren't allowed to get black belts. They put some kind of limit on it, a filter, but it wasn't. I mean, but I went to the camp. I attended at least one of those camps. I was there twice, and the quality of the material was the same as any other camp. I mean, Michigan was, I think, heads and shoulders above everyone else because the high concentration of high-ranking black belts.
Okay, so that was. Well, it started is like you said. There's a lot of.
It started. The first camp was 87.
Yeah. Okay.
So the first camp was 87. So that was going all the way to the end until 2000.
Yep.
That which was the last camp that Remy taught. They kept it going, but I don't count them. I mean, I don't count them the same way because it's a new entity. It was the longest running Remy camp.
Mm-hmm. Nice. But I wanted to remind people too. Please send in some questions if you want to ask Dr. Tim here anything about Buffalo. Remember, it's a Buffalo episode, not a Datu episode. We'll pick on him later.
Yeah. Hey, and remember, if you're watching, get a chance, watch on YouTube, subscribe the channel, like the video, hit that notification button, and share wherever you feel appropriate.
Absolutely. All right. So with those camps, let's see. 91. So what was happening after that?
So, like someone else, there was a little debacle over money. I didn't have anything to do with the finances, but there was more people, and evidently Remy complained to me that there was less money. But there was more things going on. We included more things, but I don't know how. I don't know. I have no clue about the money. This is just what Remy told me. And we actually, in the 91 camp, we had written the test that the camp started modeling their test after.
Sort of became the de facto curriculum.
It became the de facto because what we did was we kept everything. We kept all the open hand techniques. Then we did the single stick, then all the double stick, all the forms. So it wasn't pick up a stick, put down a stick, pick up a stick, put down the stick. It was let's go. Let's keep a theme so it's more efficient. Not that you couldn't deviate, but and it was rough because when I would run the test for Professor, we'd spend an hour on the first page.
Right.
And he's watching the first page. He's like, we're not going anywhere. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Da, 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 da. And then all of a sudden we get to the second page and we rip through that like there's no tomorrow on third page. Just that first page has a lot of stuff going on there.
Yep. So after that debacle, and you're right. I mean, Professor was he loved the art, loved his people a lot, but he was also a businessman, right? So there was a few things like that. And I'm not speaking poorly of him, but that was a concern that had sometimes had some misunderstandings, and I think a few people fell victim to that, and then straightened it out later, like everybody did. Yeah. Hey, Andrew.
So what had happened was there was a couple things that went on, including every time I tested, that I physically tested, everybody else got promoted for not testing.
That sounds fair.
So between the nonsense of being the whooping boy for the camp debacle, because I would see, generally speaking, I was the only one that would travel out of Buffalo. And when I say I mean I as in Tim and his students.
Right, you would bring people.
And my training partners, which were all my training partners were students of mine at one time or another.
Right. Jeff did that with you with it sometimes, right?
Yep. So, so I would go out and I would hear it. I'm like, come on, stop this. Yeah. And I'd bust my butt doing all the networking and stuff like that. And then, I said, you know what? I'm sick of this. I am not going to go out and bust my ass for a test just to watch everybody else get promoted for sitting on their ass. And I kept getting promoted and they didn't, because none of them left town. Now listen, when I say this, here's one I want you to listen closely. When I say none of them left town, someone's going to say, well, we went to this seminar once. We went to that seminar. Okay, maybe you did 2 seminars in 7 years. Now,
yeah, I guess back then following Remy around was not really a thing for everybody.
I was the guy. I was the guy that pretty much did it, because especially when I started hosting Remy, I would reach out to the other hosts and say, hey, listen, I see you're hosting Remy. Just want to say hello. And if there's anything I can do to help out and vice versa, I'd love to get feedback. And by the way, from one host to another, you're more than welcome to come to my event free of charge. Oh, hey, Tim, we really appreciate it. And you know what, Tim? You could do the same. And who would do the same?
Yep.
This guy. Would they come to me? Nope.
Probably not.
Would I have let them? Yep. Because they probably still would have brought somebody. So I mean, and also by then, like, you talk about 92, 93, I was helping Remy teach at the camps. So, but so Buffalo, most of the people, I mean, I got Dan Carr to start going to camp with us. So he was there for like the last 3-5 years, but if you look at the leaders, okay, Don used to he had to go to camps. He went to the West Virginia camp, and I think he was at and he was at least one, most likely multiple Philadelphia camps. Dan Carr was at a Philadelphia camp. Okay. And we're talking Metro Philly, so I'm trying to think of people who did something. Tammy Wilson, my classmate, we all went to the Mississippi camp together, which was our first camp. Nice. Then she went to Michigan camp once, maybe twice, and then the school changed hands and went to an Ishan Roost school, and then she eventually got out of it. I said Dan Carr, he went to Michigan with us. Jerome, I don't think he went to any camp. We co-hosted 3 in Buffalo together, but I don't think he went to any camp. David Battaglia only went to the Buffalo camps.
Okay, so after the 91 camp, there was no camps until Can-Am camps.
There was no Buffalo camps.
No Buffalo camps with the professor.
Yeah, I waited a bunch of years, because 91 was the last time. So I think I brought him in. Let me see. I did 2 with Dr. Okay, I have to go backwards on this. So last time he was here in Buffalo was in 2000. So 2099, he was a double header with Dr. G.
That's right.
Okay, so 99. So then there was at least 2 more camps, one at my church and one at Maryvale. Actually, I think 2 at Maryvale. So I think I had him here 5 years. So it was like 95. I think was the first one I hosted him by myself, or with my partners at the time. But I wasn't working with any other modern Arnis people.
Okay. And it was a combo camp, or the combo.
No. The first one was just a 1-day seminar.
Oh, okay, seminar.
The first day I had him, first time, over 100 people.
Nice. That was the one that was big. Okay.
To my knowledge, I don't know of a 1-day seminar with Remy by himself that was larger than that.
I never heard of one, but I only have the small area where I came from. That sounds huge. That sounds huge.
Well, and I would go bring people to see Remy, and all these seminars. So all these hosts, they all had a little debt to me. Oh, Mr. Richie, what are we doing?
Oh, nice. Hey, but that, and of course, he hadn't been there for 4 years, right? So there was an appetite, probably.
Right.
So the community was still fairly large, right?
Yeah. And then the next year went down to 60.
Okay.
Because I put it in my church. It was in the auditorium of the Christian Education Building of my church, which is rated for 300 people sitting.
Right.
Not 100 people swinging sticks.
Right.
So Remy didn't do any stick work. I actually had a guy, Jim Carruthers, who's an Aikido Jiu-Jitsu guy from Port here. No, he's Windsor, Windsor, Ontario. And he, I said, hey, listen, I'm sorry, man. It wasn't supposed to be this big. This is great. I'm sorry, and I'm like, what could we do? I understand that we couldn't do any stick work. And he harped on, well, we did, I do Aikido Jiu-Jitsu, and that's all we did. I'm like, once again, did you see what happened there? And some people kept harping on that. Like the next year, I had a much bigger, and I wrote a letter to everybody. Hey, thanks for coming. We've already addressed this. I had these auditoriums which were like a gymnasium that was 4 times the space.
Okay.
So it was never that big again. But we had when I finally had Remy and G together, I pick them up at the hotel, and I'm driving to the gymnasium. So how many people are there? Well, you're going to get paid. But we only have 12 people pre-registered. So 75 people paid at the door.
Oh, wow. Nice. Well, that's scary as a host, but I mean, that is nice that it turned out that way.
Yeah. And then that was 99 the first time. And then the second time, even bigger. So having close to 100 with the 2 of them didn't count because that's a double header.
Right.
And they had a blast together. Oh my God.
So they became friends?
Oh my God, they were tight right off the bat. The 2 of them loved busting my chops. And Remy goes on the floor and he takes this guy, Jason Arnold. Jay, come here. Because Dr. G does this yoga stuff. His Burmese yoga. And he has Jay stretching his leg going behind his back of his head. I'm like, and I've never, how often do you see Remy going on the floor for anything? And Remy's on the floor doing the stretching. I'm like, damn.
Nice.
It's cool. So there's a lot of love there.
Well, and he was pretty flexible. Still no questions in the chat there on the side. No questions. That's interesting. Yeah. So a little interlude, since this is taking you down through hopefully a little memory lane. Anything else that pop up that you'd like to mention either during that period? You shared some neat stories, but anything else that maybe that we already moved past, but jogged a little piece.
No, I'm feeling pretty good. I mean, like I said, we, there's so many stories I have with Remy. Most of them were always on the road. I mean, I loved when Remy came to Buffalo. Well, here I'm going to put a little different perspective on things. I didn't bring Remy to Buffalo to learn anything. I brought Remy in to spend time with him. Okay, I started in the art. I was doing 15 classes, maybe 20 classes a week. I knew the system. I knew the system enough where I never needed to do another lesson again. Doesn't mean I knew it all. It means I had enough to take me for the rest of my life. But I didn't have enough time around the man that I wanted because I didn't have a daily instructor. I did all this on my own. And I missed that opportunity to have that relation. I mean, Remy and I were very tight. Probably we were close because I saw him so much on the road. But I wanted him at home with me. I was actually getting ready to ask Remy to move in with me to say, hey, you've been to the house. I've got multiple guest rooms, and say, why don't you move in for a month or 2, go away on the weekends, come home, and if you wanted to kick in some cash for for supplies, go ahead. But I'm not asking you to do that. Just do some training with me.
Mhm.
And no one needs to know you're in Buffalo. We'll keep it on the QT because we didn't have the internet like the way it is today. So if someone would call, hey, Tim, did you see Remy? Yeah, actually, I'm going to be talking to him later this week. Give me your number and I'll, all right, or what do you need to talk about? I'll relay a message. And then I could have always sat there and said, hey, guess who just flew in? Remy happens to be, like I go, then like I could always just have him call back the next day. Go, hey, you won't believe this, but Remy just stopped over here to spend a couple of days in between the seminars. So I offered him that he could stay with me for a couple of days, and he took me up on it. Here, could he easily done stuff like that.
Well, and that's not unheard of. I know he did do that. He spent time like that with people from time to time. So I'm sure he would have.
Yeah.
So in case people don't know what you get. So one of the things we noticed when we went to camps with Professor was we do the camps, we take all our good notes, and we'd have a year's worth of material to work on, and we do multiple camps a year. So I could see where you could get to a stage where you have so much that you got plenty to work on, and you're really spending that time is great. One of the best times I had with him was driving down from Dallas to Houston, two legs, and just the visiting, right? Because he's a fun, great guy. So yeah, that would have been great. And then you would have had a lot more stories.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, like we went out to cigar bars and
right. And
the girl I was dating at the time, we went down there and Remy had somebody with him, and Tim doesn't like smoking, and like I'll smoke a cigar. I haven't smoked a cigar in like 5 years, but I mean, smoking a cigar is different. I mean, I would smoke a cigar or a pipe because my grandfather used to always smoke his pipe, and there's that little. When I smell the tobacco, it reminds me of my grandfather. And also, it's not the same. I don't smoke cigarettes. I don't smoke marijuana. I don't drink a lot. I just, that's it. It's just here I am, but we would go down and hang out. Professor initially would do what he would do everywhere. He would come into Buffalo, do a Friday, do a seminar on Saturday, fly out Saturday night or Sunday morning to the next seminar. Well, in my case, he flew in eventually and stayed for 3 to 5 days.
Yep, nice.
And he just no, because he enjoyed going to Niagara Falls. He wanted to hang out and relax. He stayed at the house. He felt very comfortable, and he knew it would be that kind of we'd have a little party. He wanted to be one of the guys.
Yep, and just a place to relax and be comfortable as opposed to something that wasn't home.
Yeah. So, and I wanted my students to see what I mean, my students never needed to see Remy. Mm-hmm. They don't need that. They had me, just like your students never needed to see Remy, but they get a different appreciation for seeing the man.
And feeling him.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Time and time again, the one thing I'll always say is no video will ever do Remy justice because it doesn't give you the feeling. There's many instructors that what you see, it matches their physical expression, but Remy was that sleeper. It's like that sleeper race car that pulls up, looks like a piece of shit. I'm not saying it looks like that. It's like looks like this, your basic bare bones car, whatever. And next thing you know, it blows every car off on the street. When you watch Remy, he's explosive. He's not flamboyant.
Right.
He, like when you look at him in Asano, Remy, Asano is a cat. Asano is like a machine gun, and Remy is a rapid fire cannon. And it's like he hits you once and it's over. And I've worked with a lot of people, and he's one of those few people that you don't want to risk getting touched by. Because it's not saying that if they get their hands on it, it's going to open it up. No, he just needs to get a piece of it and it's already done.
Well, and that's part of the feel that you get for sure. I mean, I was hooked after feeling him. I mean, I knew I liked the art, but once I met him and felt it, that was it, right?
Yeah, it's like him and Wally. They're opposite sides of the same coin. Wally, you just can't move. You were just done. He got you. You feel all this pain, and no matter what you do, you can't get out of it. Mm. Remy would hit you, and you feel it. He'd hit your hand. You feel it in your toes. Mm-hmm. I'm like, and I not many people have had that vibe.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think, let's see. So we've walked in from the beginning, 85, all the way up through a peak in the early 90s and slow dwindling, but other opportunities. And then, of course, we get to 01 when he passes. Anything you want to say after that? Because Arnis is we all, I look at Arnis is professor, but it's also what we do after him, right? So,
Yeah.
So anything you want to tell the rest of that story as far as Arnis in Buffalo?
Unfortunately, modern Arnis has taken a nosedive when it comes to the quantity of schools. Mm-hmm. That being said, I've got over 70 people in the art in one building. Mm. We've got a full-time dedicated martial arts school, 5,000 square foot facility dedicated to the art of Prace's Family Systems. So we've never had that big of a, I don't even think when Remy had all this thing, when we had all those programs running, no one school was that large. Now, we had more numbers back then because I was running like 20, 30 people at any given moment. And then all the different clubs, if they all had like 10 people, 5, 10, well, if they all had 10 people, it's 110 club, 110 with the 11 clubs right there. And, but right now my club is probably the biggest school out there that's ever been out there for modern Arnis. And we're beginning, I've got MSD Kenpo, Mr. Guida he's got he's got a class once a week. He's here with me for 1 to 3 times a week during the days, training with me during his lunch break.
Excellent.
So he's continuing his Kenpo training, but he's also doing his continuing his modern training, Okay. And and we're talking about a bunch of different things that we have projects for. I've got other programs like this Kenpo Screama program, which is basically a blend of Kenpo and Arnis. And what it is, you take out some of the Arnis, you take out some of the Kenpo, you put the two together. Well, actually, just you split the belts, and when you get the black belt in Kenpo Screama, you're partway to black belt in Kenpo, and you're partway to black belt in modern Arnis.
Fusion.
Yeah, it's a fusion. What do we got here? Good morning. Walang namang.
Very good.
There's our drivers.
That's right.
I'm looking forward to the travel restrictions lightening
up.
Yes,
definitely. But yes, magandang umaga to the Ramones. Gosh, I've kind of run through my questions, and nobody's given me more questions. Got anything coming up? Speaking of Arnis in Buffalo, kind of closing it out. And while the way, get your questions in if you got any.
Was it the 16th?
You can do a Christmas thing?
No, not yet.
Okay.
16th of October.
Okay.
We have our Tappy Phase 2.
Online and local.
It is hybrid, so we do have physical attendees, and then we have people virtually logging in. That is the 16th. The 20th will be the next one of November, and then in December, the 4th will be the last one. Hopefully, that's the weekend of the Christmas party if that works out right.
Okay.
Actually, if you excuse me, there's some noises out front, and I didn't get to lock up because today I'm the feature guy. So why don't you tell me what you got coming up?
All right. So Modern Ace down here in DC area. For those who don't know, I'm in the DC area, Northern Virginia. I've got. I'm probably going to do a fall thing. I did the spring thing late, almost at the beginning of summer. So this one's basically fall, almost at the end of fall, beginning of winter. But I'm thinking December 11th. So hopefully that doesn't conflict with anything. But I'm throwing that date out there. Hopefully that'll be fine. That's a whole day where all the different FMA groups get together and sort of picnic and sharing all day long. And we try to top it off with some sparring. And it's a lot of fun. That's an event that I've been doing for 7-8 years, continuing on from John Bailey's. But other than that, I just got my normal classes.
Mm-hmm. So here's what I like to say about Buffalo Arnis. There's a lot of bullshit politics happen over the years. But it gave a lot of people opportunity to do the art.
Mm-hmm.
Don Zangi was very controversial.
Really?
He was an interesting cat, let me tell you.
I haven't heard any details, but and I don't need to right now, but I got that feel, yes.
Yeah. John Bryant was my instructor, and he and I didn't get along at the end. But even after I left and I was attending seminars that he had Remy come in, it was always Guru John, Guru John, Guru John. You know, if it wasn't for John, I wouldn't have had he was the one that started me. I got my fundamentals from John, you know. But, you know, and even though we went in different directions, actually, someone got word to me he was dying. He had moments of clarity. So we played phone tag, and I left a message on him, and basically on the phone, I just say, hey, listen, you know what? No matter what happened between us, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be doing what I am today.
Perfect.
And it's true.
Yep.
You know, a lot of people I don't get along with, and we're not supposed to. That would be great.
Right.
Let's see. Hopefully you guys have a good time there. But you know, what happened. I could look back and say, you know, I should have done this, I should have done that, blah, 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 blah. You know, at the end of the day, if it wasn't for those times, good and or bad, it developed me the person who I am today. You know, so there was a lot of learning going on, good and bad.
Right.
It would have been nice if we could have all gotten along better. But there was a moments of cohesion. And you know what? I'm happy who I became, both physically and intellectually and emotionally. You know, no one was ready to do this when Remy passed away.
True.
And like I said at the 10-year reunion camp, made a lot of mistakes, but I wouldn't risk changing any of them because those were all learning mistakes, you know. And if I offended anyone in the past, I'm sorry about that, but I wouldn't risk changing the past because of how it might affect today. You know, now this is not an apology now trying to save face with anybody, because I'm still who I am and I say what I do and I've got my beliefs on things. But, you know, there was, you know, I got a lot of experience here in Buffalo, you know, and we all got along at one time or another. And Buffalo was one of the top tier locations for doing the art of modern Arnis in North America.
Well, not just doing, right? Spreading, right?
Yeah.
I think that's important. So, and I think you made a good point about, you know, hey, getting along or not, it's still everybody was involved in spreading the art we love, right? So that's important.
Well, you know, here's the thing. Okay, who's really spreading the art now? I mean, it's me, locally and internationally. But these guys were all my training partners at one time or another. Mm-hmm. We all worked together. We all worked to bring Remy in. We worked to do this. We worked to do that. We bounced ideas off each other. You know, we unofficially actually had notes around here for the West New York Modern East Black Belt Society or something like that. You know, So, and I would write notes down on there. We'd get to what we talked about and all this other stuff. So I pushed. These are things that I did to bring us together, and eventually, it fell apart. You know.
So is that a local group of leaders, or having their own clubs? Okay, nice.
Yeah, that was and some of them were my students. It got to that point where it's like, hey, you know, so Jerome Barber was one person, Dan Carr was another, David Battaglia was another, Jeff Reck was another, and myself. We were the five that would get together. Okay. You know, Peter Koss would pop in every now and then. You know, he was at the tail end, so a lot of that had been gone, you know, or was heading out, you know. But we really pushed to make that happen. And I'm like, hey, come on, let's get together. Let's do this, because I wanted to, you know, I'm not saying I'm the first that ever did this, but I remember one of the guys was complaining, "Oh, Remy never teaches us anything. It's always the same thing." I go, "Well, look, Jerome is putting this thing together. We have 40 to 50 people every time he shows up, and it's only 10 of us that are the same people. You got 30, 40 other people that don't know shit. So he's got to start over."
Right.
I go, "Have you ever thought about saying, hey, Professor, do you mind showing us something different?" "Well, I don't feel comfortable." "Fine, well, then I'll do it." And at the last seminar that Jerome hosted, that we put together, I said, "Hey, Remy, do you mind taking the black belts aside?" And he did.
Yep.
Yeah, it was like for about 45 minutes to an hour. Then we're all back in the drum. Well, that didn't last long. It's a start, Stop complaining. Right. You asked, and Remy did something for us, which means he'll do another thing for us.
Mm-hmm.
So it is what it is. But
nice.
I love Buffalo. I always have. The community martial art wise was a little challenging, to say the least. But because of what happened, we all got better together.
There you go. That's a very human thing to say. I like that.
And
Cone King.
Plus, we got Cone King.
The Buffalo institution, right?
Damn straight. It was there when I was a kid. I wasn't even 5 years old and they had Cone King. So that was in 70, 60, 69 or 70. Cone King's been there.
They're like a penny back then?
Something like that.
We're practically the same age. I shouldn't give you too much credit. All right, last chance for any questions. I think we've gone kind of long, but I think hopefully it was interesting for everybody. I had fun with this.
Are we still good for next week with the academy?
I'll be at the academy.
No. Can we still do Monday?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's what I want to do. Okay, so that wraps up Modern East and Buffalo for all intents and purposes, like the Remy years.
Yep.
Like the Woody years, but different. So next week's topic, I think, let me bounce one off of you. What do you think about how modern Arnis is spread? The methods, how we got the word out, or how we should get the word out.
Well, that'd be a good discussion, because everybody
videos.
Might want to do it different ways, right? Everybody's got a piece. Some are useful on their own. Some are useful adjuncts. Yeah.
What is a good supplemental method? What is a good substitute? What is whatever?
Good exploration or whatever. Yeah. No, that'd be interesting, because we talk about this a lot. Right. But there's lots of pieces to that or any other puzzle. So yeah, we could do that. If anybody's interested, comment on the video here or on the YouTube video and comment if you're interested in that.
Yeah. So right now, because I have on the 25th, because I wasn't sure. Oh, wait a minute. No. Okay. Yeah. The 4th, I wasn't sure. So we'll do this on the 4th, unless we come up with another idea before then. I got to double check, but I think October 25th, we have Modern Arnis Chicago coming up. Yeah. We need to get a couple other topics in there. We're also doing one in there. I got one. We're going to do one on the World Modern Arnis Alliance.
That'd be good. Any other people? Any bites on other interviews?
So
I know we have a few scheduled, but I'm just wondering there's some holes.
I got to get a hold of Mark Lynn.
Okay.
Because we have to set the date. I'm still waiting for him to get back to me with some dates. And then I talked to Carl Minkle. He's going to try to find out if he can get the school that he teaches out of, because they're set up for Zoom. He doesn't have the means, but he's going to work on it.
Okay.
So he might. So the school he teaches out of does have the means. He's going to see if he can use the facility at night to do that or not. And then we're going to be putting our panel together.
Good.
Now that one, when we discuss that, so I figure we got the two of us, Rich Parsons, Frank Schakowsky, Lorne. Do we ask Lorne?
I thought we did. I can't remember.
Oh, I got Peter Couch too. So Peter used to be here in Buffalo.
Good.
And he's doing all these other things down. Like I said, he was like with Keating and Hockheim and a few other things here and there. He's done 52 blocks, and they're in the kung fu. He's done another kung fu style, so you two can like
geek out.
You can foo out. There you go.
There you go. I was doing that a little bit with Coach Jeff Berger last weekend.
He's a foo guy too.
He's done like almost everything.
Okay.
And he's digging this stuff too. So
good. Well, good for that. All right. Well, I can't think of anything else, my friend.
I got nothing else. I must have picked all the questions, or you must have rambled, one of those two, because no other questions really.
All right. Well, listen, everybody, thanks for tuning in. As always, please feel free to share the video. If you're watching, give us the thumbs up wherever you're watching, but we really appreciate if you do this on YouTube. Because here's the thing. Once we get our videos monetized, it doesn't, first of all, monetization makes you pennies. It doesn't make you dollars. Okay. Right. But what it does is it gets your videos in the mainstream eyes more often.
Right.
That's the whole thing about monetization. So it'll be a lot more accessible. It'll show up more often. So we want to get the word out. I mean, because last week's show, we had Ed Kwan, and correct me if I'm wrong, his comment was, you only tested for black belt in Michigan camp.
I think he said something like that, yeah.
That wasn't the fact. And we had that opportunity, that dialogue to talk about, no, Professor would do testings and promotions everywhere. It wasn't just a camp thing. We got another comment. Thank you, gentlemen. See you soon. Right. Yeah, you'll see him.
Yep.
All right. So what we'll do is we will topic to be named for next week. We've got a couple ideas. How to get the word out. How's that?
There you go.
How to spread modern Arnis for the future.
Let's do it.
And then we'll talk about some other topics as we go. And we'll go from there. So as always, thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe, hit that notification button. I want to thank our sponsors, which is the Modern Arnis University, Vulpes Training Blades, and the 65th anniversary of Modern Arnis Training Camp. Ty, you have your event coming up soon. End of January, I will be doing our Southeast Coast Modern Arnis Camp in Jacksonville, Florida. And that's it.
We got the Texas camp, too.
And we have the Texas camp in November.
Yep.
And in November, we also might have the Canadian camp because I can cross the border.
True.
So our Thanksgiving, I might be going up there.
Can you get back, though?
I don't know if I want to get back. I can get back. Getting back's not the problem. So all I have to do is say something bad about the Queen and they'll kick me out. Because they still like England. No, we love England. We love England. All right. Well, listen, as always, please stay safe, stay sane. This is Dr. Tim saying goodbye, and
PG Ty, take care.
And we shall see you soon. And where is it? There it is.